Alright, so in about the past 24 hours, the claims of racism I've been seeing have shot through the roof, it seems. First off, we have that owning a dog is racist because white people miss having something to be a master over. Okay, so it has nothing to do with the fact that for tens of thousands of years, dogs and humans were companions that mutually benefited from one another. That couldn't have anything to do with it. It has to be racism. It has to be that whites have this deep-seated evil inclination to lord over another being. And black people, by the way, they don't like dogs and they don't own them, I guess. Which is odd because one of the replies to this tweet was this gentleman, Ken Vermeil, I can't pronounce that, sorry, a black individual who said, "I love dogs." So I'm not sure where this theory is coming from. I don't think that this person thought this tweet through very thoroughly. Next up is Chris Pratt wearing a shirt with, well, a more modernized version, I guess, of the Gadsden flag, with the coiled snake and "Don't Tread on Me" written on it. This apparently means he supports or is sympathetic to racism in some way. Now, it is true that Gadsden was a slave owner, but how far do we want to go with this? Washington, D.C. is named after George Washington, and he was a slave owner. The Washington Times and Washington Post are based in Washington, D.C., and named after it. So does that mean, what, that somehow residing in D.C. or reading the Washington Times or the Washington Post makes you somehow racist or sympathetic with slavery? Benjamin Franklin was a slave owner. Does this mean that every song that references Benjamins is somehow giving credibility to owning slaves? And speaking of songs, the holy grail of racism must be "Don't Tread on Me" by Metallica. It's a song that heavily references all the rhetoric going on about the rattlesnake and how Benjamin Franklin thought it was a good reference to the American spirit. Not to mention that "Don't Tread on Me" was on the Black Album. Perhaps some subtle racism is going on there, calling it the Black Album, although I think that was a nickname. The band didn't actually call it that. I could be wrong about that, though. But, of course, the cover of the album, regardless, has the rattlesnake from the Gadsden flag. Is this all racism now? Is Metallica a white nationalist band now? Seems like a bit of a stretch to me. And the last tweet is one that I can't show because it has the N-word in it, and I don't want to lose my channel, frankly. But it says, "Since at least the 1950s, communist has become a popular coded word for the N-word. Let's be real." Now, this is just insane, as one of the most concerning states of communism at the time, and for decades to come, was Russia. Most Russians, by the way, in case you've never seen them, are not black, and generally appear to be pretty white. So this tweet is just off its rocker, and the term communist was generally viewed, as I pointed out in my tweet, as people who were critical of individualism and exalted the collective over individuals. They were also critical of people owning private property, as communists tend to be. That's kind of the whole point. As well as scoffing at natural rights and viewing them as silly and illegitimate. Now, there is just cause for concern over someone with those types of ideas rattling around in their head. But it has nothing to do with racism. A better tweet would have been the accusation of communism over being anti-war, which was fairly common. If you're against the U.S. foreign policy, you must be a commie. That would have actually been a half-decent tweet and a half-decent criticism of calling someone a commie. But no, instead, I've been seeing more and more of these tweets that are desperately and hungrily grasping at straws to find racism absolutely everywhere you look. As I've pointed out, and other people have pointed out before as well, when you have a country like the United States where racism has been on a downtrend for quite some time, when you derive value from being oppressed, you need to desperately cobble together this image of the country as being somehow racist or having racism leering around every single corner. To me, it's both hilarious and tragic all at once. But that's all for now. Subscribe and share and all that stuff, and have a good one.